Next question. Jocko, my wife told me that she sees I am much more direct and less cordial than I used to be. I feel I've pushed too much into getting after it. And it makes those around me feel like I've changed to someone else.
Yeah. We have to be really careful,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Because being more direct and less cordial is definitely not getting after it. In fact, it's the opposite. If you are getting after it in a correct manner, your wife should be completely stoked.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have more time for her because you're going to be doing time management properly.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be doing better at work, which means you're going to be getting promoted or whatever, getting paid more, or, you know, getting job stability or whatever, something like that. You're going to be healthier because you're working out. You're going to be stronger because you're working out. You're going to be more organized with things. And you're going to be more thoughtful about building. That's what getting after is. Your relationship should be improving.
Yes.
Not this. And this is one of those. This is one of Echo Charles's favorite things to talk about. Or it's actually something that you've just brought up a bunch of times on the podcast, which is when someone says, "No, that's just how I am." Like, you know what, Echo? I'm just going to tell you the truth because that's just how I am. Yep. Just making an excuse for being a jerk coming out of the gate, yes. Which is not good. So if that's what you're doing with your wife, you know what? I'm just going to get after it. Hey, this tuna casserole sucks. I'm just telling you the way it is. Yep. That's how I roll. Yep. Like, no, you're actually rolling in the wrong direction. When you're getting after it in a good way, your wife will be stoked. I was getting interviewed the other day, and I realized this. So I've written 8 books. The 8th one comes out in January of 2020. It's a lot of writing. I wrote 90% of the words in those books while my family was asleep. Damn. It made almost no impact on the family. I'm writing these books. Editing is a little bit different because there's a timeline on editing. So sometimes my family would be awake while I was editing and I had to get stuff turned back in, and it's a pain. Mm-hmm. But that's takes a week, right? But the other 90% of getting after it was done while my family is asleep. Mm-hmm. If you, contrarily, are getting after it at the expense of your family and friends, that's actually being selfish. So that's one part. Okay, so maybe you need to check yourself there and make sure that you've got your priorities in order. There is a chance, however, that your friends don't like seeing you start to get some altitude, right? Mm-hmm. Start to be more successful, start to lead a better life. There's all kinds of groups of people that will just drag you back down. They don't want to see you win. Yeah. That's sort of, I don't know. Is that the fundamental kind of baseline human instinct? I don't want to see you win.
If there's an element of it to I would not be surprised. Yeah. Put it that way, but I don't know.
There's at least a non-trivial part of the population that does not want to see you win.
Yeah.
There's at least a percentage, whatever that percentage is, of the people that you know that does not want to see you win. They would rather see you fail. They would rather, and maybe fail's not the word, but they would at least rather have you stay with them.
Yeah. That makes sense. Really.
So there's a chance that that's going on. Is there a chance that that's going on with your wife? Hopefully not. That's a slim chance. Yeah. Because if you think about it, your success, her success is predicated on your success. I mean, you are bound to each other. Each of your success is predicated on each other's success. Mm-hmm. So do I want my wife to be successful? Oh yeah, because that's my wife. Mm-hmm. And she's looking at me going, yes, go be successful. The more successful I am, the more successful she is. So there's most likely your wife, in my opinion, would be supportive of your efforts, unless you're just getting out of control. There's a chance, I guess, that a wife could see, someone change, and that's not the person that I married, right? But hold on, the person that you married was lazy. Yeah. And I'm over here getting after it. The person that you married was making X amount of money, and I'm making a lot more than that. The person that you married wasn't in good physical shape. I'm in good physical shape. Most of the time, the wife would say, cool, yeah, I'm getting a better deal now. Occasionally, I think you would get a spouse, I guess it could be the male or the female, could happen on either side, that goes, oh, you want to work hard, and I'm really not looking to do that. I was comfortable, right? I was comfortable, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. I don't want you getting all crazy. I'm over here being comfortable. So that could happen. I think that's unlikely. I think what's most likely is you are focused on yourself a little bit too much. Check yourself for that. That should be the first person you look at, you.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Because like this is actually kind of common where husband, wife, whichever the scenario is, where one, let's say two people, they get married, whatever, years down the road, one of the people in the couple, the relationship, improves themselves a lot too, loses a bunch of weight. They're literally, by their own standard, they were not very attractive when they got married, but now this is 10 years later, whatever, they become straight up attractive now, making more money. More people want to hang out with them because they're nicer, like all this stuff. Straight up across the board improvement. Meanwhile, the other person in the relationship didn't do that. Still married, still all good, no infidelity, nothing like that. Still married. But that person who didn't improve themselves will feel like they got phased out, or kind of like the person might want to upgrade or something like that, you know? So it's like...
So there's a possibility they try and drag the person back down.
Yeah, because you need to be back here. I need to feel secure. Now I'm this husband, and now my wife's hot. I'm not used to a hot wife, because when we got married, you weren't that hot. I loved you for you, and you know, all this stuff. And you know what they say or whatever. And now you're I don't know. Well, you know, I don't know. I'm thinking of some cliche movie thing. But anyway, the wife's like all good looking now. People at the store are like complimenting her and all this stuff. And the guy's not used to it. And now in his mind, a little thing develops where it's like, like I'm not good enough now for this hot girl. And
I'm going to buy her some Cheetos.
Yeah, bring her back down. So like at least have some manageable amount of control with this person. That's not an uncommon thing in that specific scenario. I guess that scenario is not very common though.
It's not a very common scenario, and then it would have to be doubly uncommon for someone to actually want to drag them back down. I have to throw it out there though, because it is a possibility.
Yeah, but for this particular question, I don't think so. Only because this little indicator right here, my wife told me that she sees I am much more direct. And usually much more direct means insensitive in my experience. Wives don't do good, generally speaking, with insensitivity. Less cordial. That's another one. In my opinion, in my experience, because I'm married.
Yeah.
Less cordial is bad.
You learn things. I'm going to give you an example. Something I learned about my wife. If it isn't on the schedule, it's about enough to make my wife get mad, right? So in other words, if I said, hey, I'm going away for a month from now, I'm going away for 6 months on a work trip. I'll be back when I'm done with those 6 months. And when I'm gone, you're not gonna be able to hear from me at all. She'd be like, okay, got it. When do you leave? And I'd say, well, I'm leaving whenever. Yeah. September 1st. Sure. And she'd go, okay. She wouldn't be even remotely upset. She'd be good to go. Yeah. If it was Friday night, and I came home and said, oh, I didn't tell you, or Saturday night, I said, I didn't tell you, but I'm going over to Echoes to watch the UFC. There's a decent chance that she's mad about that. Yeah. Because she had in her mind that we were going to eat whatever. Yeah. We were going out for dinner or whatever. But I didn't give the pre-planned situation.
What if she didn't make a plan for that? It was just sort of maybe we could do that. But
it's not on her. It's on me. Yeah, it's on me for not informing her of what was going on, because it doesn't really matter. All she knew is that I was coming home and I was going to be around, and that was what was happening. Yeah. So anything that is not planned. You know what's really funny? This is, again, with my wife, and this is where it became evident to me. Even if it's something that is positive for my wife, if I don't give her pre-planning cycle on what's going to happen. So in other words, if I was flying home and I'd been gone for a week, and I got home and busted through the door and said, hey, I'm on a tail end of a 72-hour fast. I'm starving. I'm taking you out, and I made reservations for this really nice dinner. We're going to go get some, a $200 steak right now.
Some steak.
There's a chance. The percentage should be 100% she's stoked, right?
Oh, good, yeah.
That should be the percentage. Mm-hmm. However, with my wife, there's a 20 to 30% chance that she says, I was gonna take our daughter to, the raffle. I don't know, to play bingo, and like that is enough.
Yeah.
And what I don't do is I say, oh, cool, you know what, we'll go tomorrow. What I don't do is try and impose it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is like lack of being cordial. What I'm saying is that it's not just like that's one example of me not being cordial. So I try not to. I guess to sum it up, my wife doesn't really like surprises. Yeah. Right. She likes to have a plan. Yeah. She likes to know what's happening, and then she'll execute the plan. So that's what you got to be careful of.
Yeah.
What you got to be not what you got to be careful of. That is one example of how these little things, they don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that my wife wouldn't be super stoked to go out to a awesome steakhouse. Yeah. That doesn't make sense to anyone.
Well, that's a superficial thing.
And let me tell you something else that makes it a little bit tricky is I'm super insensitive to like changing plans. Like people change plans with me. I'm like, whatever. It's it's literally no factor. Yeah. Like, we've been planning to do this for 6 months. Someone's like, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? It means nothing to me. Right. When things change, it means nothing. It has no impact on me. Yeah. I have no emotional reaction to someone saying, hey, we can't do this now. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to do something else. Yeah. So I'm at the other end of the spectrum. Yeah. Which means it took me a little while to figure out that, this makes you mad. Yeah. Got it. Yep. Check.
And it's probably something like one level, like under the surface too. It's not like, hey, I had this good, the raffle was planned in my head and that raffle's important. The raffle's not important. Neither is the dinner. It's like that part of it on that level is not important. It's one level deeper. It's the fact that I had this in my head. You didn't tell me this other thing. And now like what I had in my head really means nothing. Yeah. So it's kind of that.
Here's another funny thing about my wife is she's so into the planning thing that if I plan something, it has way more value to her. So in other words, if I say, hey, when I get back this Friday, I'm going to do a fast and I'm going to be super hungry. I'm going to make reservations for this Friday. Right. And we can go out and get an awesome steak, tomahawk, ribeye. And like the fact that it was pre-planned, like I've done this before where I've taken her and I've gotten reservations and she'll be like, did you make reservations? And I'll say, yes, I'll be like, yeah, I did. And I can see like a little smile, like I care a little bit more that I made those reservations. Like that's what the spontaneity thing? No, no points for spontaneity. No. Zero points for spontaneity. Only points for pre-planned fires.
You know why?
Why?
Because it's thoughtful.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's an interesting quality right there.
And I guess my point in saying these things is that everyone has these little personality traits. People you work with, people your spouse, your children, they have these things. And if you figure out what those things are, you can actually utilize them to your advantage, and you can bypass things that will be problematic. And something that you've said too is you say, oh, you do this stuff to me, meaning JOCKO I do some like leadership trick to you. Sure. And you know that I'm doing it, but it's still like it works and it still makes you feel the way that you know it's supposed to make you feel. That's my point. Like my wife will listen to this and then I'll make reservations and she'll still be happy even though that she knows that I'm doing it just because I know that it's going to be something that makes her happy. Yeah. Yep. So just because you reveal like, hey, I know this is what you're like, or even whether you reveal it or not doesn't matter. Yeah. When someone has that characteristic, then you can utilize that characteristic. And I know that's not the best sounding word to talk about, like manipulating my wife's emotions.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is manipulate her emotions to make her feel happy about something.
In the right way.
Not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep, it's a good thing.
So be cognizant when you're dealing with other human beings.
Yeah.
Look for these things. You see these things if you take a step back. If you don't take a step back, you'll never see them.
Yeah.
If you can't detach when you tell your wife something and you see that it makes her mad, if you can't detach, if you're talking to an employee and you see that they're getting frustrated and you can't detach to try and figure out what that is, you are not going to make any real progress.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah,
check.
the direct thing. We like to be, or when people are direct to us, it makes things easier for us, you know. But doesn't
Who's
mean
we? Wait, who's the we?
I don't
we're
know.
Talking about
Whoever, people who
because here's the deal, man. Direct is a very blunt force tool.
Yeah.
And not many people wield it well, and not many people receive it well.
Yeah.
So if you're one of these people that, I just like to be direct.
Right.
That's not good. And very seldom do you end up in situations where you can just be direct with people. You have to have real, strong, built relationships with people where you can just be that blunt and direct with them. Mm. Now, there are methodologies where you can be direct without being direct. You can say things that are, hey, this is what we need to get done right now. You can take an edge off of it.
Yeah.
You can, and the way you usually do that is by taking ownership of what it is you're trying to make happen. So what I don't say is like, Echo, you need to get this thing edited tonight.
Yeah.
Right? I don't do that. I might say, hey, is there any chance we could get this thing edited tonight? Because if we don't, we're going to have a gap in releases, which, by the way, we haven't had.
And that's kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, see, even you just kind of know that it's a thing. It is, isn't it? Right? And all of a sudden we're there. And all of a sudden you want to edit that thing. Yeah. Not because I told you to, but because you want to keep the gaps from opening up.
Sure.
So I was directly telling you, but I was indirect.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do it, but you got to be careful with direct. Direct, it takes a long time to hone the scalpel of direct to where it just gets where you want it to cut and it doesn't leave any collateral damage. Yeah. Not many people are good at it.
Yeah.
Very few people are good at it.
Yeah. It's hard. Next question. JOCKO.
And that makes people mad.
What does?
When you say, listen, you can't just throw it at people. People want to say, like there's a book called Radical Frankness or something like that. That's not the name of the book, but it's something like that. It's like, hey, we just going to tell the total radical transparency or something like that. And it's like, we're just going to tell the truth all the time. And we can get there, but man, it is work.
Yeah. And
it's not even work that has to be that necessarily is the best use of work.
Yep.
So, yeah, I just know I hear people all the time, well, and people, that's what people want me to say. I'll go and work with a company. They're like, what we really need help with is we just need to really learn to be direct with each other.
Yeah.
And what they really should be saying is what we need to do is we need to learn to communicate with each other, be open about what issues we have, how to solve those problems, and be more tactful in our discussions so that people are receptive.
Yeah.
Because think about what I just said. If it's not just about me being direct, the only way that I can be direct is if I have set you up in such a way that I've built you in such a way that you're receptive to my directness. Because me being direct without you being receptive, it doesn't work. And so often that's what I see. I see, hey, I'm direct, but you're not receptive. It's game over.
Yeah.
So even if I'm direct, I'm only 50% of the solution because you have to be receptive.
Yeah.
What's easier, when I go indirect, I become 90% of the solution.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get it into your brain without resistance.
Yeah.
So it's easier up front as me. I'll just be direct.
Yeah.
That's easy up front because I just say, Echo, you need to get this stuff edited.
Yeah.
Now.
Direct.
That's direct.
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances of you being receptive to that? 50%.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas if let me rephrase that. In order for this to be effective, you have to be receptive to it.
Yep.
So I only have 50% of the solution. You have the other 50%. Whereas if I say, like I said before, hey, Echo, is there any chance we could get this done tonight? Because here's what's at stake. And I go indirect and I make that idea. I make your answer. You're going to give me the answer I want. Yeah. I know it can be edited tonight, right? I know that.
Yep. Makes sense.
And so you're actually going to tell me. I'm putting it into, I'm giving you, all you have to do is just tell me. And now I'm the one that's receptive. Yep. Yes, we can. Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm glad.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's something very important to talk about. If you want to talk about learning to be direct with each other, what you really have to learn is how to be receptive to directness. That's the long pole in the tent. Yeah. That's what organizations are missing out on. Being direct is easy.
Yeah.
Being direct is the easiest thing in the world. Yeah. You tell people what you think. That's easy.
Yeah.
What's hard is setting the other person up, developing a relationship so that they're receptive to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I used to play football back in the day. And this new quarterback came in. What's weird is I forget his name. I'm just drawing a blank right now. But new young guy, tall, and he had a gun. Mm-hmm. If you're a quarterback and you have a gun, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
It means you throw far and fast. Here's the thing, though. Especially when you're new, and you have a gun, you're going to show that gun. You're going to be like when you're playing, when you're warming up before practice and stuff like that, you're throwing it and you're throwing it hard. So this guy was throwing it hard at me. I was a receiver. And we were just standing there. I wasn't running routes. So he's throwing it and it's hurting my hand to the point where I couldn't catch some of them because they were coming just too fast for that distance or whatever. And sure, I was impressed with this guy's gun, but when we'd want to run routes and stuff, he'd still kind of do that, I guess, maybe to impress the coaches. He's a young guy or whatever. And here's the thing, like, people would miss his balls. They wouldn't catch them because they're coming too hard. They're hurting your hands. They're messing you up, So it makes it really hard. Good. Hey, I get it. It's great practice for the receivers. It totally is. Mm-hmm. But as far as to effectively land a pass, to complete a pass, it probably doesn't work like that. And we had this other quarterback.
Hold on, Echo. Let me just stop you because you may have just made like the best analogy you've ever made on this podcast.
Right on.
That is it.
Cool.
If you can throw that thing direct, but if you're throwing it too hard and the person's not ready to receive it, right, not even to mention that you might not be ready to, you might be looking in the other direction. That thing hits you in the back of the head.
Yep.
What good is that direct comment? It's zero good.
It's not good. Hurting your hands when you try to receive it.
It hurts you. Yeah. And you don't want to hear anymore. You don't want any more to be thrown at you.
Nope.
Okay, proceed.
As opposed to this other quarterback who came in from Stanford.
Your hard work is paying off. That's right.
Thanks. I knew it would. So this other quarterback came in.
Did that quarterback make it anywhere? Did he make it to the NFL?
He did not make it to the NFL. Okay. No. So this other quarterback came in. His name is Tim Carey. Came from like Stanford, I think. And he came in. He was the kind of the opposite. Actually, not the opposite because he could throw far and stuff. But the way he threw it was like. It was like the perfect pass. Like every distance had a different velocity on it. It was like that kind where he
modulated
so well.
Yeah.
He modulated so well.
Modulated the volume.
For those passes.
Directness.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Everything. And for them to get better, he would have to physically walk it and put it in your hand. It was like that good when it'd come, and when you have them side by side, oh man, I don't want that direct guy. I want the finesse guy, But he did have the capability.
Did he make it to the NFL?
Maybe. I forget.
He left Stanford to come to your college?
I forget why, but I think it was a whole thing. There was a few Stanford guys that came. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
A few guys from Stanford. that came to your school.
Played at UH. Yeah, it was during I want to say when we changed coaching staffs.
Oh, there might have been some scouts connections.
Maybe like some relationships that were already there. Even some of the coaches I think came from that area. I don't know. I forget. That was a long time ago. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the way it shook out.
Check.
So there you go.
If you guys like the video, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, and check out the description for JOCKO's products. White tea, discipline equals freedom, and all the other fun stuff. You guys can go straight over to Amazon through those links, and they'll bring you to all the right stuff.